Yo, I'm Bob. Into Star Wars, happen to be totally blind since birth, talking about Season 3, Episode 4 of The Bad Batch. This one's a different approach. It premiered today, as I'm filming this video, on February 28th in 2024. It is the 36th episode of the show overall. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched the episode, I would advise you to do that or you're going to get spoiled. That being said, jumping right in, and you were warned. I like getting to see Omega interacting with just Crosshair because we really haven't gotten to see these two interacting throughout the show. Crosshair has been, oh, forgive me for borrowing a title from the expanded universe, but a soldier for the Empire for the majority of the series. That's one of my favorite audio dramas, by the way. So it's nice to see her doing her best to welcome him back into the Bad Batch. So when it comes to the reunion episode, I wasn't expecting to see that until possibly episode 5. I would have waited for episode 6, although I'd hoped to see it in 5, but we actually got it in this episode. Of course, they have to go through quite a lot of trials and tribulations to get there. They land on Lao. This is the first time we see this location in the new timeline. So I love Star Wars planets. To me, they almost feel like characters themselves. They all have different personalities. I really liked Lao. I hope we're not done with this planet. It might show up in live action for all we know. Who the heck knows at this point? But when they landed, and when the audio description track described the ice and snow, I was wondering if we were going to be in for a survival in the wilderness kind of episode. No other people except Omega and Crosshair. Of course, they have Batcher with them. But no, this is a planet that is occupied by the Empire, which is good. I wasn't really looking forward to a survival in the wilderness kind of episode. So yeah, they get to go to Lao Spaceport, and this is crawling with Imperials. And I love episodes like this. It's always so tense. The characters are having to come up with disguises, and they find these jackets, and they're wearing the new digs. And Omega's trying to be all optimistic, and she's like, "Oh, see, isn't this better?" And Crosshair grimly, he's like, "No." He does not want to be there. He knows they need to get off world. They've ditched their shuttle that they crash landed in. Another happy landing, as Obi-Wan says. And Crosshair I think he wants to unalive some people and get the credits that way. But Omega doesn't want to hurt anybody. So he's putting up with it for the majority of the episode. This guy's a very patient clone. He just wants to do what he does best. But he's like, I'll humor this kid. She's sweet and all. So we're gonna do it her way. That's fine. I don't like it, but that's fine. So they get to meet a new ticket agent, and this new character sounds a lot like. Well, she sounds Ubiz to me. If you've seen Return of the Jedi, Leia wears a mask that gives her that kind of voice filter. So she sounds a lot like Bosch or Boosh or Bausch or however you want to pronounce the name. I also thought of Tawny Ames from The Bad Batch Season 2, the episode The Solitary Clone, when hearing the ticket agent for the first time. So now they got to get 30,000 credits because she does accept bribes, and yeah, they're trying to get off world before Royce Hemlock gets wind of them. And I do like that we get to see Royce at the very beginning of the episode. He's still questioning Nala as to her involvement in the escape. And he's not going to hurt her, of course, because she's very crucial to Project Necromancer. So he's threatening her to the best of his ability, but I think she's okay for now. And a good thing, too, because I really like Gwendoline as a voiceover. And she does such a great job voicing this Kaminoan, and I hope we're not done with her. I hope she sticks around until, well, hopefully the end of the show, possibly beyond. Who knows what they're gonna do? What they're gonna do with the remaining Kaminoans? So, the cantina scene was one of my favorites. I always love those locations in Star Wars. So on Twitter, Soprano Shayla and I had guessed that Liam O'Brien and Sam Riegel were voicing two of the characters in there, and we got that confirmed with, I think, IMDb. I do wish the audio description track would narrate the credits at the end of the Bad Batch episodes on Disney Plus, because I would very much like to know who's voicing them right then and there when I'm watching the episode at 6:30 in the morning on premiere day. I don't want to have to wait several hours to figure out who's voicing who. But yeah, we were right. Liam O'Brien is voicing the bartender droid, and Sam Riegel is voicing. Well, the audio description track says that this alien is a Trandoshan. So yeah, we got Liam and Sam voicing some characters. It's always cool when they get together because I know them, of course, from Critical Role. I started watching Naruto a couple years ago, and Liam does stuff in that. And Sam, of course, I know him from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 show. He voiced Donatello in that. So it's always fun to see these guys in Star Wars. You've got a new imp officer making his one and only debut in this episode. He is Captain Man, Mann, and he's voiced by Harry Lloyd from Game of Thrones. When I heard this guy, he sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. At first, I thought he was in Wheel of Time because I'd recently rewatched actually, the first two seasons of that. And now he's from Game of Thrones. He played, I think, Viserys Targaryen. Is that I've only seen that show twice, but I think that might be Daenerys' brother. I don't know. The last time I saw the show all the way through was before COVID, and I don't know it inside and out like so many Thrones fans tend to, but I don't know which Targaryen that is. I think that might be Daenerys' brother, though. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool that we get a new imp officer, and I thought it was going to be Warlord Zinj at first. My brain is always kind of making side trips into the EU timeline, and I was like, oh, well, the way they make this guy, the way they describe this guy in the track sounds like Zinj. I'm not going to pronounce it Jinja. You can pronounce it that way if you want to, but it's going to take me a while to get it to sound that way in my head. I'll get there though. But right now he's just going to be Zinj. But no, he's just a new captain, and he's coming in there, and well, he's trying to beat the pants off Omega in the card game she's playing. We do get to see her exercising her card shark skills from season 1. She beats the pants off of the Trandoshan. I don't know if he's wearing pants, but if he was, she probably beat him off of him. And then the officer comes up and, imp that he is, after she beats him, he's like, oh, well, now you have to pay me a fine because gambling is illegal on Lao. So, of course, he gets 10,000 credits from her winnings. He's sent Batcher outside, and this is quite an interesting little scheme of his because she's captured. You have Crosshair and Omega going to look for Batcher, and there's a kid, and they have to give him 5,000 of their credits in order to figure out where Batcher is. You can tell Crosshair is kind of getting a bit perturbed at this point because he looks at the kid and he's like, I'm getting tired of this. The kid's like, okay, you only have to pay me 5,000 instead of 10. And they do get to where they need to go. But at first I thought the kid might be in cahoots with Captain Man. I was like, is this his son? Like, is this little brat the imp's son? I don't think it is, but that was my first thought. I was like, is our father and son are they involved in some kind of racket on this planet? What's going on here? But I think the kid was just, some random pickpocket kind of kid. And, well, I wonder what was going on with all the animals toward the end of the episode, because they had crates and crates and crates of animals. So another reason why I thought of Zinj was because in the X-Wing series, he had been experimenting on animals in that series of books. He wanted to boost their intelligence. It was an Imperial project that he had going on, and I was like, oh wow, there's so many different animals in these crates, so I thought of what he had going on board the Superstar Destroyer Iron Fist, most notably in Solo Command, if you've read that. But yeah, no, he's he's just a one and done captain. We finally get to see Crosshair in action at the end of the episode. He shows back up there, threatens to tell Royce where they are. He wants their credits, the rest of their money. He wants them to surrender. And up to this point, Omega's really tried hard not to hurt anybody, but she looks at Crosshair, and I like how she says, you know, I think we'll do things your way now. And Crosshair's like, finally. And he just starts mowing down stormtroopers. I love this part. Just let the man do what he does best, and boy, he sure did. It was a very short and sweet firefight at the end of the episode, but I love it when Crosshair gets to demonstrate his marksmanship. So I asked a question on Twitter because the audio description track describes Captain Man's death as being ensnared by, I do believe it's purple tentacles, and I first thought of a Rathtar from The Force Awakens. So I was asking my Star Wars pals on Twitter, hey, was this a Rathtar? I'm going to read the response by Cambrian Mammal here. So, yeah, Cambrian Mammal says, the AD track is accurate. We only saw tentacles. It was an implied Rathtar. And then there's a little grinning, squinting face emoji. I don't know what half of these emojis mean, but I like them though. It's you know, I guess it's supposed to exhibit Star Wars excitement. I bet you there's some kind of oh yeah, there is an Emojipedia out there. I need to look that up. But yeah, I got Rathtar vibes. So Star Wars Sarbear says, and I quote, I got Borgullet vibes. But yeah, when you think of tentacles, you can't help but think of Rathars and, of course, Borgullet from Rogue One. Now, if you've read the New Jedi Order series, there is the Yamask or the Yamosk. That's pronounced two different ways in the audiobook series, the abridged audio series. But yeah, when tentacles ensnare an imp officer, he's done. So I like how Captain Man went out screaming. So yeah, you don't get to spend your money where you're going, buddy. Or maybe you do if he winds up in the world between worlds. I don't know. I don't know where he winds up in the Star Wars galaxy. Hopefully not a very nice place. He seems like a real jerk, so I wasn't sorry to see him go at all. Really cool that Harry Lloyd got to do a voice in Star Wars, though. Always fun to have someone from Game of Thrones voice a character. So yeah, he's all finished. So we get the reunion at the end of the episode. I was not expecting this. I thought we were going to have to wait a week or possibly longer. But they head to, and I think it's the Ryloth system from what I'm seeing online. They're on a moon nearest to Ryloth. And there's the Marauder. We get to see Wrecker coming down the ramp. We get to see Hunter as well. And it is, there are some tears that were shed. I got a little bit teary-eyed because you know you want this kid to be back with her clone family, you know, her found family. So you know we've got Wrecker and he's kind of wiping away a few tears. You got Hunter, he's happy to see her as well, and I like how he tells her, you know, we've missed you, kid. We've never stopped searching, and of course they didn't. And such a cool way to end the episode. But I think my favorite part is where Crosshair kind of walks down the ramp when Omega says, I got help, when Hunter asked her how she escaped. And we see him, and you can tell he's not really sure how this is going to shake out. There's probably so much going through his head. He's been through a lot. They've all been through a lot. So he's not sure. I feel like he's not sure whether or not he's going to be welcome there. But of course, he is going to be, because this whole crazy arc started with them trying to get to Tantus to free him. So who knows what's going to happen in the next episode, and that's going to be called The Return. We got a week to wait for that, and apparently Omega wants to go back to Tantus and free the prisoners. This reminds me of Corran Horn in the X-Wing series. Both these characters, no matter what timeline you're in, they've got such a boundless sense of empathy. And this reminded me of Corran wanting to track down the Lusankya and free the prisoners from there when he escaped in book 3 of the X-Wing series. He wanted to go back. So I like that we're not done with Tantus. Of course, there's probably going to be a raid. I hope that it lasts through to live action stuff, but I don't know if it is. I think that we might be done with it at the end of the Bad Batch. Hopefully not. I wanted to see characters like Ahsoka, Zeb, Ezra, Sabine blowing this joint up at some point in live action. I wanted to see Mando and Grogu visiting it in their movie, but who knows. So this video has been long enough as it is, and I hope to the Force I haven't forgotten anything. Guess I'll hear you guys in the return episode review. I do like the sound of that title. Till then, may the Force be with you.